New York Comic Con 2019, 5 days to go. I've been counting down the days for the last 6 months since I purchased my badge. My friends and I go every year, and a few times we've even been to the one out in San Diego. Last month I began buying things to put together an outfit. I don't go all out like the cosplayers, but I always get something new to wear each year. Last year me and my friends all wore something Dragon Ball Z, which is our favorite anime. This year, we are all obsessed with the show Stranger Things, so that is our theme. We're all super excited about a new attraction that will be there this year. It's a booth called Face Your Fears. I hope I don't make an ass of myself. My friends don't know it, but I'm kind of afraid of the dark. As long as we're able to use flashlights, I'll be fine, but since the company who is running the booth isn't giving out many details about the new attraction, I don't know if flashlights will be available. I could always sneak my own in, but I don't want to risk us getting kicked out or pissing off anyone else. The only description about the booth on Comic-Con's website states, "A lot of times your imagination is way worse than what you actually see." Below that is a comment from a fan who got the chance to test the maze out early. It's almost complete darkness, and then they attack all of your other senses. It's awesome. The night before Comic-Con, I checked to make sure that I've got everything I'm going to need for tomorrow. My outfit is laid out, my book bag is packed, I've got my money, maps of the building telling me where each bathroom, booth, and panel is located, and some snacks. The drive isn't too long, but with the traffic, it always takes a lot longer. In the morning, my wife Chloe and I are going to pick up our friends Mike, Rick, and Selena. Then we're going to get some breakfast before heading to the venue. Chloe and I have been married for 3 years. We actually met at Comic-Con a few years back. I knew she was the one as soon as I laid eyes on her. Not only is she extremely beautiful, we love all of the same things. We even had a Dragon Ball Z cake at our wedding, with Bulma and Vegeta representing the two of us as the cake toppers. Mike and Rick are brothers. I've known the two of them since we were kids. The three of us grew up in Brooklyn and have been friends since middle school. Selena is Rick's wife. I've known her for a while too because her and Rick started dating back in high school. They broke up right before graduating, went their separate ways and attended different colleges in different states, then got back together when they both ended up moving back here to New York. They got married a few years later and now they are expecting their first child. The next morning, I get up really early and take a quick shower before waking up Chloe. "What time is it?" she whispers. 6 a.m. She groans and lowers her sleep mask back over her eyes. "Just give me 10 more minutes." I turn on the lamp and start to get dressed. 10 minutes later, I wake Chloe again and she crawls out of bed and heads to the bathroom. I can hear her brushing her teeth and then she begins to do her makeup. We're out of the house by 7 and then we drive across town to pick up Rick and Selena first. We beep the horn as we pull up, but Rick is already outside waiting on the stoop of their brownstone. He puts out his cigarette and walks back inside, then returns a minute later with Selena. She comes wobbling down the sidewalk. She's only 8 months along, but looks ready to pop. I'm hoping she doesn't slow us down today. We've only got tickets for this one day, so I'm trying to see everything. "Hey, you look beautiful," Chloe tells her with a smile as she gets into the back seat. She replies out of breath, "Thanks," as she extends the seatbelt across her giant belly. Then she pulls a granola bar and a bottle of orange juice from her purse. I swear I get hungry every hour. Next we head over to Mike's apartment. He lives a little farther away, right on the edge of town. He calls me before we even get there. "Where are you? You said you would pick me up by 8 o'clock. I glance at the clock on the dash. It's only 8:06. "I'm right down the street. I'll be there in another minute." Mike's always been a stickler for time. He can't stand to be late. I think it actually gives him anxiety. And he really hates it when anyone else is late. We pull up to his building and he's already waiting at the curb looking irritated. He climbs in and I ask, "Where do you guys want to go for breakfast?" We all agree on IHOP. When we walk inside the restaurant, the smell of pancakes fill the air. A waitress guides us to a table and we quickly look over the menu so that we can place our orders right away. The doors to Comic-Con open at 10 a.m. sharp. There's always a long line of people waiting outside, so I like to get there right around 10 so that we don't have to wait too long. Once the doors open, the line moves fairly quickly. The restaurant is pretty empty, probably because it's so early. Most people like to sleep in on the weekends. That's what I would be doing if today wasn't Comic-Con. And that's definitely what I plan to do tomorrow. I'm always exhausted after walking around and being on my feet all day. 10 minutes later, the waitress brings out our food and we scarf it down so that we can get back on the road. I glance at my watch, 9 a.m. We're making good time. That gives us an hour to get there and find parking, which I just have to say, the prices they charge are absolutely mind-blowing. The signs say they charge $40 for the entire day, but then once you get in there, the workers tell you that the total is actually going to be $75 because this is the day of an event, which is such a ripoff. Just as we are about to head to the car, Selena says she has to use the bathroom, so that delays us a little longer. Mike, Rick, and I go out to the car to wait while the girls go to use the restroom. When a full 10 minutes pass by and they still haven't come out, Mike starts to complain. Did you have to bring her this year? Don't be a jerk. Yeah, I had to bring her. She's my wife, and we always go together. Plus, she's worried this will be the last time she'll be able to go with us anyway, since the baby will be here next year. Just then, the girls come strolling outside. When we arrive at Comic-Con, the streets are jam-packed with fans. Some are still waiting in line to get inside, while others are taking pictures with the many different characters standing outside. We find a parking garage not far, about a block from the venue, and then we start walking to the building. When we get inside, there are so many people that it's easy to get lost. We start off in the booth area since the first panel that we want to attend doesn't start until 1 o'clock. I buy a few posters to hang up in my man cave back at home. Chloe purchases a new DC Bombshell statue to add to her collection. Mike just seems to be browsing everything. And Rick and Selena buy a bunch of Spider-Man stuff for their baby's nursery. Posters, a stuffed toy, and even a lamp. When it starts nearing 1 o'clock, we start to make our way to the room where the panel is being held that we want to attend. But on the way there, we come across the booth to the new attraction that we've all been waiting to check out. There's already a long line, and it keeps getting longer by the second. Wait, maybe we should check this out first, Mike suggests. Selena looks at the line and grumbles. Do you see that line? If we wait in this, we'll miss the panel. No one else seems to care that much besides her. We've been walking around for hours. I'm tired, and I want to sit down. Rick can see that the three of us want to stay, so he says, it's cool. We'll just go to the panel, and you guys stay here. Hold us a place in line, and if you've already gone inside by the time the panel's over, then me and Selena can just check it out later. They have one more showing at 5 p.m. I look up at the sign posted at the top of the attraction. It says 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 5 p.m. showings. I'm not really happy about us splitting up, but it seems like that's the way it's going to be this year. Okay, I answer. Chloe, Mike, and I grab a spot in line. The wait time has got to be at least 40 minutes or more. This looks like the longest line at the entire convention. As we're standing there waiting, the line is moving at a decent speed, but I notice that all of the people going inside before me have yet to come out the other side of the maze. I wonder how long it takes to get through the entire thing. Is it like the haunted houses that they have at theme parks where they have emergency exits? Everyone else is busy standing around talking, scrolling through their phones, or snapping a picture every time someone dressed up in cosplay walks by, so I think that I'm the only one who noticed. Hey, did you notice that no one has come out of the maze since we got in line? I question Chloe. She smiles for one last selfie before replying, Nope, I didn't notice. Then she goes right back to what she was doing. Mike is talking on the phone, so I can't ask him. I don't know how he can even manage to have a conversation, it's so damn loud in here. Finally, we get to the front of the line. There is a huge sign labeled Face Your Fears written in red and black letters. The entrance to the maze is blocked by heavy black and red curtains. The rules are explained to us. No taking pictures or having your cell phone out. No flashlights allowed. The maze is already dimly lit, just enough for you to make your way through the paths. No touching the props, and there are no emergency exits. When we find our way to the end, we will receive a coupon for either a free burger and fries or 2 free slices of pizza from one of the counters in the dining area. Chloe grabs my hand, and just as we're about to follow Mike inside, Rick shows up. Excuse me, he says as he pushes his way to the front of the line. Thanks for holding my spot, guys. All of the people standing behind us give him dirty looks and then start to mumble and complain. The woman again states the rules quickly to him, and then we step inside. Immediately, we are surrounded by darkness. Chloe grabs my hand tighter. I'm not sure if it's because she's scared or because she knows I don't like the dark. I squeeze it back and slowly move forward, holding out my other hand in front of me to feel my way through the dark. "What happened? I thought you were at the Spider-Man panel with Selena," I whisper to Rick. "I was, but I think she felt bad. She knows I was really looking forward to trying out the maze with you guys, so she insisted that I come back and go through with you all. She said she'll call once the panel is over and then we can all meet back up again." I can see a tiny stream of light a little ways ahead, so I pull Chloe in that direction. It's really cold in here. Right before we step into the light, Chloe screams and grips a hold of my arms so tight that her nails are digging into my skin. "I just felt something crawl across my foot. Didn't you guys feel it?" she squeals. "No, I didn't feel anything." Mike and Rick agree with me. Then a second later, she screams again, and this time Mike yells, "What in the hell was that?" I turn around to see him swinging his arms wildly in the air. "What are you doing, man?" "Something was just crawling on me. I felt it on the back of my neck." "Me too," Chloe says. The next thing I know, a bunch of creepy voices, giggling and laughing, circulate around us and then fade into quiet whispers. I grab Chloe's hand again and pull her deeper inside of the maze. "Hey, maybe we should split up," Rick suggests when the maze splits into 2 different directions. Chloe quickly answers, "That's a terrible idea." "Yeah, man, I agree with her. We should probably all stay together." But then an illuminated sign appears right before both paths that asks, "Which do you fear more? A creepy abandoned haunted house or witnessing a murder?" We all agree that witnessing a murder would be way more horrific. So we follow the arrow pointing to that path and proceed. Every few seconds I keep getting the feeling like someone is breathing down the back of my neck. But Chloe is walking right next to me, and Rick and Mike are ahead of us. When we come to a closed door, we cautiously push it open. Then we step into a dark room and observe naked bodies adorning the room like ornaments. The ghoulish mannequins are sprawled about, covered in blood. It looks like a special effects team worked overtime for some horror movie set. But the smell, that odor could only come from one thing: recently slaughtered animals. I'm familiar with the smell because my grandparents owned a farm out in the country when I was growing up. My parents used to send me there every summer for a month to help them out, and that was one of the things that I always dreaded, helping Grandpa slaughter the pigs and cows. Suddenly a door opens and a woman comes running across the room screaming at the top of her lungs for help. Someone dressed in all black wearing a ski mask is following her, and they're wielding a knife. "This is crazy. Everything looks so real," Mike says in amazement. She frantically searches for somewhere to hide and finally settles on hiding among the pile of mannequins that are lying on the floor. She lifts one and slides beneath it. At first I see it moving up and down with each breath that she takes. Then it stops, so I figure she must be holding her breath now. The man is still looking for her, and the closer he gets, the harder my heart starts to pound. Chloe moves closer to me. The man is standing right above the woman now. He glances down and starts to lift one of the mannequins. But when he doesn't find her below it, he tosses it to the side and moves on. But it's too late for her now. She's made the stupid mistake of coming out of her hiding spot, and now she's standing right in harm's way. The man leaps at her, and she screams until his knife plunges deep into her neck. Then she slides to the ground. The man's deed is done, so now he just walks away and disappears into the dark background of the room. Mike walks over to where the mannequins are and reaches out to touch the knife. "You're not supposed to do that," Chloe reminds him. He completely ignores her and pulls the knife from the woman's neck. Blood comes gushing out and squirts everywhere, probably on us too. It's just too dark to see. He plunges the knife into one of the mannequins instead. "Really, man? Come on, let's go," Rick tells him. As we're walking away, Chloe stops and asks, "Wait, did you hear that?" I tell her that I didn't hear anything, but I could have sworn that I heard the woman coughing on her own blood as we left. The next sign we come to asks, "Which do you fear more? Death by fire or drowning?" They both sound horrible if you ask me, but we take a vote and the verdict is 3-1. So we follow the arrow to the left that leads us down the drowning path. We approach one of those dunk tanks that you see at carnivals or other small events. There's a woman inside with a black bag covering her face, and she's shackled to the bottom. She's struggling to lift herself up for air. Suddenly I begin to feel an immense amount of pressure on my chest, forcing my lungs to burn as if they are on fire. My heart begins hammering, increasing in intensity and speed like a bird trapped in a cage. My head is pounding with panic, threatening to explode at any second. I open my mouth to scream because for some reason I can't breathe. I feel like I'm the one that's drowning. But instead of a scream coming out, a string of bubbles escapes. No one is paying any attention to me standing in the background. They're all entranced by what is happening before their eyes. A timer taped to the side of the dunk tank goes off, signaling that the woman's time is up. She didn't escape. What will happen now, I wonder? The moment she sinks to the bottom of the tank is when I finally catch my breath. I think I must have been having a panic attack. We continue through the maze. When another sign appears, I ask, when does this end? It feels like we've been in here forever. This one asks, which do you fear more, bears or spiders? Although I do think being attacked by a bear would be pretty terrifying, I feel like I'd be calmer in that situation than if a spider were involved. So we all agree on spiders and take that path. As we're walking down it, it begins to descend like a ramp leading deeper underground. When we reach the door and enter the room, it's pitch black. The door slams closed behind us, startling me and causing me to nearly jump out of my skin. I yank Chloe's hand when I jump. She can tell I'm nervous because of the dark, so she moves closer and squeezes my hand tightly. I think it's safe to say that even though this is a pretty cool attraction, I don't think I'll be doing it again after this. A red light begins to flash across the room from us. I feel something on my hands, and when I look down at them, I see spiders crawling all over me. They are black, hairy, and about as big as a quarter. They scurry in random directions. Their feet tickle my skin as they crawl up my arms and begin to spread across my face. I try not to panic. After all, this isn't real, right? But if they go into my mouth, I don't think I can contain myself. It seems like no one else can see the spiders. Then one of them crawls up my nostril. That's when I flip out. I start flailing around uncontrollably, and Mike and I end up crashing into each other. Then the room floods with light as a pair of hidden doors open and we're let out of the maze. "Congratulations, you faced your fears," a man announces. Then we're handed our coupons for free food and go on our way. Rick realizes he has numerous missed calls from Selena. He tries to call her back, but none of us have reception, which is weird because I had it all day before we went into the maze. He texts her instead and tells her that we're headed to the food court so she can just meet us there. After lunch, we head back to the booth area. We went through about half of them this morning, so now the plan is to go through the other half this afternoon. We have another panel to attend later, and then the grand finale of the night is the costume contest. We stop at a booth selling anime character statues. I know Chloe has been looking for a Bulma statue, so we browse the merchandise to see what they have. We go from table to table expecting to see the usual, an anime girl posing in a provocative manner, but that's not the case. These statues take it to a whole nother level. They have some of Bulma, but not what we're looking for. One of them is her gagged and bound to a chair. She's covered in cuts, scrapes, and bruises, and she looks to be either asleep or unconscious. There is a statue of her husband, Vegeta, posed in front of her. He's kneeling with a cigarette dangling from his lips, and in his hand he holds another and is just about to place it to her cheek. Another statue is of a character named Lucy from the anime Fairy Tail. Her clothes are torn, and she's kneeling before another character from the show named Natsu, and he has a hold of her hair with one hand. With the other, he's holding a knife to her throat. The entire booth is filled with that same kind of stuff. Battered and bloody statues of women characters being tortured, beaten, and a few of them even murdered. "I don't like any of these," Chloe says when we reach the last table in the booth. "Yeah, the people who made these should be ashamed. I hope people don't actually buy these," I answer. We pass by a group of people standing near the bathrooms dressed as some of the most notorious horror movie monsters and killers. Freddy Krueger really stands out. His costume looks so real. It looks like it came right off of the movie set. Chloe stops us and says that she needs to use the restroom, so we turn around and head back. She goes inside while me and the guys wait for her outside. "Selena still hasn't called or texted me back. I'm starting to worry," Rick says. "She's probably just pissed that you left her to come hang out with us. I know she told you to, but I'm sure she didn't expect you to actually ditch her," Mike answers. "Damn it, do you really think she's mad?" I laugh. "Yeah, man, probably." The person dressed up as Freddy keeps staring at us. He's making me feel really uncomfortable. Just as I point him out to the guys, he strolls toward me and reaches out his hand. Not the burnt one, the gloved one, full of sharp blades. He pokes me right in the chest and a speck of blood appears through my t-shirt. "What in the hell are you doing, man? Don't touch me." He busts out in hideous laughter and walks back over to his spot in the corner next to the bathrooms. "What was that all about?" Chloe questions as she comes out of the bathroom and sees the tail end of the confrontation. I tell her that it was nothing. I don't want her to worry. Things like that make her paranoid. If we run into him again at any point today, she'll think that he's stalking us. Next, we head to another panel. This one is talking about a new movie set to come out in a few months. I'm excited because I've been waiting to see this movie, and they're going to show a never-before-seen trailer after a short discussion. We sit down, and it seems like them talking is never going to end. I even end up dozing off a few times. Then they answer some audience questions, and then finally it's time to premiere the trailer. The screen turns black, and then the Blumhouse logo fills it. I lean back in my chair, but then jump forward in surprise when a man appears on the screen and shoots a woman right in the middle of the forehead. She falls toward him, but he coldly steps out of the way, and she crashes to the concrete pavement. I glance at Chloe. "What is this? This isn't the movie?" She shrugs her shoulders. Maybe it's another movie and they're showing this trailer before the other. I mean, I guess she could be right. So I sit back and continue to watch. The man strolls down the street and ends up meeting another woman at a bar. He takes her back to his place and gets her drunk, and then they end up in his bedroom. He carries her to the bed and tosses her lifeless body onto it. Then he rips his belt from his pants and begins to whip her mercilessly, telling her to go to sleep. That's where the torture begins. I suffer through the next 5 minutes before I have to get up and leave the room. Chloe, Mike, and Rick get up and follow me out. "What in the hell was that?" Rick asks, confused, when we get into the hallway. "Yeah, I thought this was supposed to be a showing of the new trailer," Mike replies. "It was. I don't know what that was all about." "Are you sure this is the right Comic-Con? I mean, maybe this is some sick, twisted one. You know they have the smaller ones too," Chloe explains. "You were there when I bought the tickets, and look." I stop and raise my badge in the air. It says New York Comic-Con right here. "Look, I think it's time we find Selena and get out of here," Rick says. We all nod our heads in agreement. We try calling and texting her, but we still have no service. I take my hoodie from my backpack and put it on. The temperature was fine all day, but now it seems to be getting colder. We walk through a horde of people standing around. They all seem to be waiting for something. "What's this line for?" I ask a man dressed as Deadpool. He tells me that the costume party is about to begin. I turn and look at Chloe and the guys. "We've been waiting for this all day. Let's just stay for this and then we can go." Mike agrees, but Chloe is a little apprehensive. "I think we should just go find Selena." Rick chimes in and tells her to stay here with me and Mike to watch the show, and he'll go find her. He says that he'll meet us back here when it's over, so we get into line. At 8 p.m. they start letting people in to find seats. As we inch closer to the front, I notice the same man from earlier that was dressed as Freddy Krueger. He sees me too, and he waves. I quickly turn around and tell Mike that the weirdo from the bathroom is here. He glances behind me and whispers, "I thought you said he was at the back of the line." "Yeah, I did." "Well, he's right behind you now," Mike replies. I assume he's playing a prank on me, so I turn around, and lo and behold, there he is. He jabs at me again with his daggers. "Hey man, what in the hell is your problem? Get away from me." I shove him and he goes flying across the floor. Then security comes and drags him away. They apologize and then escort us into the costume contest and give us front row seats to the event. The lights in the room dim as the stage lights turn on and brighten. The show starts off with Wonder Woman walking out center stage. She's followed by Sam from the movie Trick or Treat. I don't know how the person beneath the mask is able to breathe. The burlap sack looks like it's tied so tight, and there's no nose hole cut into it. The tattered orange jumpsuit looks just like the one in the movie, not a cheap costume version. And to top it all off, they even have the half-bitten jack-o'-lantern lollipop. Next up is the pale man from the movie Pan's Labyrinth. Personally, I love the movie, but his creepy appearance always gave me an unsettling feeling. When he gets to the front of the stage, I get a close-up. I'm in awe at how real his costume appears to be. It's amazing how real all of the costumes look. He raises his hands to the empty place on his face where his eyes should be and opens them wide. His black nails extend and a set of eyeballs open from the palms of his hands. His saggy, drooping skin dangling from his body is downright disgusting. I want to puke just looking at it. He finally leaves the stage as everyone continues to cheer. Then Jeepers Creepers appears. I cringe in horror at the realness of the makeup, and when he gets to center stage and then stops to inhale deeply like he's searching for food, I nearly lose it. But then he steps down off the stage and approaches Mike sitting in the front row next to me. He grips him by the shirt and then sniffs it. Then he pauses for a second. He sticks out his tongue and licks Mike up and down on the cheek several times. Mike instantly pulls away and begins wiping his face off on his shirt. Chloe cracks up with laughter. Some other costumes come out, anime characters, horror movie creatures and villains, and even some Disney characters, then the best costumes of them all. A group dressed as the killer clowns from outer space come out onto the stage. I have to admit, I wish I'd thought of it. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. They are carrying pies, and when they get closer to the edge of the stage, I snap a quick photo, then shield myself with my hoodie so that they don't pie me. Just like I thought, the crowd laughs and cheers as they begin tossing the pies at them. Then an announcer comes out and shoos them off of the stage. He grabs the microphone from its stand and announces, "Now for the grand finale." The crowd erupts in cheers. A woman comes out onto the stage, but I'm a little shocked and surprised because she's naked. Literally, everything is showing. I look away. I'm not really sure what's about to happen. But when the crowd's cheers grow louder, I look back. They're whistling, and even Mike has joined in, shouting, "Oh yeah, baby!" She stands there smiling for a while, soaking in all of the attention. Then she slowly reaches around and begins tugging at the top of her back. I assume she's going for a zipper. Thank goodness it was just a costume, I think to myself. But when she peels her skin off and reveals nothing but blood and muscle, I gasp in horror. The crowd does the same. When the lights flicker and then go out is when I really start to panic, but they come back on a minute later. The stage is empty now until the announcer comes back out. We have one more special treat for you, a gourmet dish for all to enjoy. I would like to give a special thanks to the new attraction, Face Your Fears. Without it, none of this would be possible. I hope you all enjoy lunch, and make sure to come back at 5 p.m. for dinner. Now dig in, he says with an evil grin. I glance around the room, but I don't see any food. That's when I turn around to see some of the other cosplayers doing the same thing, pulling their costumes off, revealing hideous, demented-looking beasts, and then some who aren't even wearing a costume at all start pulling off their skin as if it were one, revealing their grotesque bodies. They are the most disgusting things I've ever seen. Their body is full of matted hair, and huge twisting horns protrude upward toward the sky. They have no eyes, ears, or noses, just mouths full of razor-sharp teeth. I think they can see, smell, hear, and taste with it. They stand on their hind legs, and their skin is a dull gray color. Their claws look borrowed from some type of prehistoric creature, and they look to be at least 12 inches to the tip and sharper than a butcher's knife. They charge at the crowd and begin feasting on whoever they can get a hold of. Painful screams flood the room as blood, skin, and bone are strewn about. One cosplayer sitting directly in front of us, dressed as Mickey Mouse, turns around to face us. He's wearing one of those mascot-type costumes with the giant head. He just stares at us awkwardly for a minute, and then he starts to rip at a seam on his back. I get up from my chair and grab Chloe and rush toward the door. I don't know if Mike is with us or not. Chloe is crying and screaming at the top of her lungs that Mickey is still after us. I glance behind me and see that he's now standing and walking right toward us. He's peeled his body off, and he looks like a bobblehead now with his giant head and skinny body. We reach the door, and there's a crowd waiting there banging on it furiously, but it doesn't open. We're trapped inside. I pull her along through all of the chaos to another side of the room where I see a set of emergency doors and try to get out through there. But to my horror and surprise, they aren't real. They've been painted onto the wall to look like an emergency exit. Chloe is screaming so loud now that I can't even think. Mickey leaps toward us and nicks me with his dagger-like claws. Blood begins to flow from my arm and immediately soaks through my hoodie. The creature gives us the chance to run, then lowers itself to all fours and sprints across the room after us, but it gets distracted when it crosses paths with another creature that has caught some prey. I gaze in terror as it sinks its teeth deep into a teenage boy's neck and begins to devour him. Then I hear Mike shout my name. I frantically scan the crowd for him. I finally find him lying on the floor being pummeled by people trying to escape. I reach out my hand, and just as he grabs it and gets to his feet, one of the beasts attacks him from behind. They sink their teeth right into the back of his skull. Chloe and I watch in horror as his bones hang from its mouth like a cigar, and it gnaws away. Chloe's screams finally snap me out of it. I think this has something to do with that maze. Everything began to get strange after we went through it. I think about it for a second and realize that she's right. That's when I remember that I saw the announcer leave through the back of the stage. So there must be some way out behind those curtains, I think to myself. I look at Chloe. Let's go. She follows me over there and I climb up first, then help her up. We dash across the stage and run behind the curtains. We emerge into a hallway and we're surrounded entirely by dirt. It's led us to an underground tunnel. Look, we've got to find a way out of here. We're going to have to make our way back through the maze. I think that may be the only way out. I remember coming down, but we never went back up. I think it led us down into a basement somewhere where they made it look like the real Comic-Con, I say. As we begin to navigate our way through the dark tunnel, I can still hear people screaming in agony. When we finally reach a door, I realize that it's the same one we came out of when we thought the maze had ended. The screams start to die down now. You would think that would be a good thing, but realizing that it must mean they're done eating and probably looking for stragglers makes it that much more terrifying. I pull out my phone and tell Chloe to take hers out and check for a signal, but we still don't have one. So we head through the door, which leads us back into the dark room full of spiders. I flinch but hold back my screams every time I feel something fall from the ceiling and land on me. I hear something to my left. At first I think it's the sound of spiders crawling around, but when I take a moment to listen carefully, I know that it's not. So I pull back out my cell and shine the flashlight in the direction the sound is coming from. The light captures one of the creatures feasting upon someone. My heart sinks when I see that it's Rick. I only recognize him by his tattoo on his chest. We got matching ones of our favorite band Metallica when we were in high school. I cut off the light before Chloe can realize that it's him, and then we dash out of there before the creature comes after us next. After getting through that room, we walk up another path back into the room that had the dunk tank in it. The woman has sunk to the bottom now, and her skin is pruning. Her body is leaning forward, with her covered face pressing against the glass. I turn around startled when I see a reflection standing behind Chloe in the glass. It's Mickey. He's followed us through the maze. There's a big hole where his lips were, and the fur is covered in blood. I can see the creature's teeth through the hole. My eyes widen and Chloe freaks out. What's wrong? She spins around so fast that the creature misses her completely and stumbles forward into the dunk tank. The glass starts to crack, then shatters, and water comes rushing out. Chloe and I are slipping and sliding all over the place now, trying to get away from this beast. He lunges at me and slices me again with one of his claws, this time on my face. The drowned woman is lying between us, but as the creature comes closer, I realize that it's a lot bigger and stronger, and I don't know if I can overpower it. Then Chloe throws her cell phone at it, distracting it long enough for me to pick up the slack from the shackles that are detaining the woman and wrap them around its neck. It falls to its knees with its hand stretched out, reaching for Chloe, but she's just out of reach. So instead, he grabs the dead body and takes a huge bite out of her. Her leg comes clean off. He continues to gnaw at her while I yank on the chain with all of my strength. When I finally get it under control, Chloe picks up a piece of glass from the floor and plunges it into its chest. Blood and other unidentified liquids spew everywhere. I drop the chain and we rush out of there and finally walk up the last path and into the room where we watch the woman being murdered right before our eyes. My heart begins to race. She's still lying there. I don't know what possesses me to do it, but I reach out and gently touch her arm. She's as cold as ice. "Keep going, we're almost there," Chloe whispers. I grab her hand tighter and pull her along behind me. I'm starting to hear voices. As we keep walking, they're getting louder, so I follow the sound of them. I breathe a sigh of relief when I realize that they have led us back out to the real Comic-Con. I'm grateful to be out of there, but I panic when I see the long line of people still waiting to get into the maze. No, stop, you can't go in there. They all stare, point, and laugh. They think I'm an actor that's been paid to come out here and scare them to promote the attraction. Chloe is screaming and crying, covered in blood. A girl standing in line says, "Nice fake blood, it looks so real." I overhear another say, "Man, this is going to be great." I try to warn them, "I'm serious. Don't go in there, my friends are dead. There are beasts down there, hideous beasts that want to eat you all." They start to applaud just as two security guards arrive. "Sir, please calm down. We don't want to cause a panic." "Get away from me. You're probably working with them," I yell. "Listen, I'm a retired cop. My name's Duke." He pauses and pulls out his wallet. Then he flips it open and shows me a photo of him dressed in his uniform with some of his other cop buddies. "I'm just working here temporarily. Now don't worry, we'll get this all sorted out. Just come with us so that we can take your statement and file a report." "Follow me," the other guard says. I hesitate for a moment, then glance at Chloe. She nods her head, telling me that everything will be okay. I tell her to stay here. As I follow the guards, I spot Selena in the crowd. She sees me too and rushes over. "Oh my goodness, what happened? And where's Rick?" "Look, stay with Chloe. She'll tell you everything." Security takes me downstairs through the main floor and then down some back staircase. I've been here so many times that I know every nook and cranny of this building, but I've never seen this area before. Right on cue, as if Duke was reading my mind, he chimes in, "I've never took this way before." "Yeah, it's a shortcut. It leads to the private office," the other guard replies. Just as the words leave his mouth, I hear screams coming from somewhere down the hall behind me. When I twist my head around, I wish I hadn't. Chloe and Selena are both being dragged down the hallway by female security guards. Duke turns around and shouts, "What's going on? Why are you handling that pregnant woman so roughly?" "It's one of them! They're the people who did this!" I scream. He pulls his gun from his holster and is holding it at his side. "Let them go!" One of the female guards replies, "Damn meat sacks, we should have never let any of them work security." Duke raises his gun. "What are you talking about?" Then I watch in horror as the other male guard lifts his gun to the back of Duke's head. "We're talking about you, meat sack." Duke collapses to the ground as the other officer grabs me. I drag my feet, trying to slow him down, but my sneakers just scuff the floor. He takes me through another door, and I immediately feel an overwhelming coldness wash over me. They throw us into a dark room. Then one of the women says, "I can't wait until dinner time. It'll be my turn to eat." The man replies, "I've got dibs on the pregnant one. She's nice and plump. It'll be 2 for the price of 1. Then they all begin to cackle. Their evil grins seem wider than their faces can handle. Those must be costumes too. They slam the door, locking us inside. I spot another door across the room, but when I approach it, that one's locked too. Then an hour later, I hear mumbling and cheering until someone opens the door and I can clearly hear the announcer. "We have one more special treat for you, a gourmet dish for all to enjoy. I would once again like to give a special thanks to the new attraction Face Your Fears. Without it, none of this would be possible. I hope you all enjoy dinner and make sure to come back next year. Now dig in." I may have faced my fears in the maze, but I couldn't be more terrified wondering what is to become of us. Don't forget to subscribe for new stories weekly. See you next time on
Nina's Nightmares.
Really? You're supposed to click the like button, not me. Ugh.